fashion misfit. And the outfit that I'm wearing, brothers dissing it. While I stay calm and pray the niggas leave me be. But they squeeze parts of my date's anatomy. Why, Lord, you brothers have to drill me? Cause if I stop to hit this man, they'll have to kill me. You see, I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You see, I am everyday.
Let's take down. I need to think about what I'm going to say first. Okay. So when you're ready, take out the DJ and turn me on. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We will be starting in about 5 minutes. Please take a seat.
making sure to stand by right here, John.
I didn't know all the swingers were here. This is amazing. Well, T's here now. All the pressure. Why do you not have this job? Crazy. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. My name is John Anderson. Thank you. And I am here because, like so many other people, I'm just a track fan. That's all it is. We appreciate everybody taking their time to be here this morning, because what we think we're about to tell you is going to change the history of sport. It is a new day that promises to be a monumental day as we launch what we think is the future of the oldest sport, track and field. I'm pretty sure the guys that were painting the Grecian urns centuries ago did not have this in mind when it came. So despite the thunderous applause everyone had for me here, I'm the only person you're going to hear from today who is not an Olympian, which means I have already talked too much. And they all have gold medals. So I'm kind of shaking just because I'm like Michael Johnson's right behind that curtain. And this is his project. He is spearheading this. So he is the person we want to hear from right now. Michael Johnson, 4-time Olympic gold medalist and track and field entrepreneur. Michael.
Thank you. So, are we sitting?
We can. You want to get comfortable?
Yeah, let's get
All right,
comfortable.
this will take a minute.
Yeah.
We'll go through it. So, there's 2 of us. There's 8 lanes in the track, so I feel like we got a lot to talk about. But let's start by just kind of maybe showing the people what you've got going.
It's an exciting day, John. This is so, you can see with this big smile on my face that I'm so excited about this. This is a new day for track and field. As you said, the oldest sport, in the world, the most, important sport inside of every other sport. And it's what I owe my life to. And this new league will revolutionize this sport, bring track back to the forefront, and make sure that going forward that athletes in this sport and fans in this sport, get what they've been asking for so many years now.
And now that we see all the branding, right, we can officially say Grand Slam Track is here.
Grand Slam Track is here. We are formally now announcing this. It's Grand Slam Track, and let's take a look at the video. Calling all rivals. Only the fastest. Calling the grudge holders who would sell it all to break the tape. I accomplished everything you dream about. 4 gold medals, 8 world championships, cover of Time magazine, all that. But I never got to face my most bitter rival under the bright lights. 4 times every year. Real money on the line. That's probably why you don't even know his name. Calling all rivals. We're about to change this game.
Okay, so that's only fantastic when you come through there. Grudge holders and rivals. By the end of this, somebody's going to fight maybe. If we do this right, we'll see what happens. So you're the guy that's obviously out front. You're spearheading this. But take me behind the scenes of why Grand Slam Track, and more importantly, too, why now?
Yeah, right now, we are witnessing the greatest collection of amazing personalities in this sport. I have never seen so many amazing personalities all at once in the sport, willing to put themselves out there, wanting to connect with their fans. And these athletes are doing a great job of that already with their social media. We are also seeing performances at a level that we haven't seen in quite some time. So the performances, the athletes are at a level that is unprecedented. In addition to that, just in sport in general, we're seeing the level of investment in sport and interest in sport at an all-time level. So there has been no better time that I've seen in the last 30 years or so where track and field as a sport is positioned to just explode. And that's what we're doing with Grand Slam track, and it couldn't be more excited about this particular time. We've got the Olympics coming up here next month in Paris, and then the LA Games coming back here in 4 years. So it's a very, very good time for this.
Yeah, certainly. And off the World Championships, it's a unique convergence of many things that are going together that we're putting together. So what everybody really is going to need to know now is, like, how's this work? Because I've been to a regular track meet. Wait, put them in a lane, set, gun, off they go.
Yeah.
What's different here? How's it work?
Yeah, and to be honest, setting the best of the best athletes against one another and put them in a lane and let them go is compelling. People love racing. People want to see the best of the best. And at the core of Grand Slam track is the best of the best athletes, only the fastest, competing head-to-head against one another 4 times a year, 3-day events over a weekend. Our athletes are grouped, 12 groups, 6 female groups, 6 male groups, and grouped by distance. 8 athletes in each one of those groups. 4 of those athletes are signed to long-term contracts, so they're guaranteed to compete in all 4 of our slams each year. 4 other athletes in each one of those groups can unlock a lane. The challengers can unlock a lane based on their latest performances. Our groups are short sprints, short hurdles, long hurdles, short distance, and long distance. In each one of those groups, those athletes will compete across 2 different races. Their combined score determines whether they win or where they place. So the short sprints group, for example, will be the 100 and 200 meters. The long hurdle group, for example, would be the 400-meter hurdles and 400-meter flat. Or our short distance group, for example, the 800 meters and 1,500 meters, and so on and so forth. So it provides a bit more stakes. It provides a lot more storytelling. Our fans get to see those athletes compete twice against one another over the weekend.
So if I'm in that core group, if I am a racer, I am there all 4 events, right? Because the PGA, they had the FedEx Cup, and Tiger Woods got way ahead, and he's like, I'm skipping the 3rd one because I know I'll be at the Tour Championship. I've got to be at all these.
You're going to be at all of these if you're one of our 48 Grand Slam track racers. Our Grand Slam track racers compete in all 4 slams throughout the year. The other challengers, the other 4 challengers can actually unlock a lane during the season for 1 or more of those slams. But the great thing about this league is that we now have athletes under contract who compete against one another 4 times a year, and they're guaranteed to be there. That's what our fans have been asking for in track and field, that the ability to see the athletes, know that they're going to be there, and it's going to be best against best.
And then my challengers, right? Like, this isn't The Bachelor. We're just not pulling people off the street, right? Like, who's it going to be, and how do we kind of determine who's going to put up the fight?
Yeah, so our Grand Slam Track Racing Committee will determine first each year who our 48 Grand Slam racers are going to be, those 48 that are part of the league. Then during the season, as athletes run fast times, they enter the conversation as a challenger. They enter the conversation as one of the best in that event. So they have one of the best short sprinters, as an example. We have the ability now with our committee, if we select that person, to bring them in. So let's say there's a kid who's a college athlete who misses the first of our 2 slams, but then finishes the NCAA championship, exhausts their eligibility. They're now going to go pro. Now we can bring them in for those final 2 slams. They are part of the conversation as one of the fastest in the world.
And you said, so that's kind of the selection process. Who's making the decision?
So our Grand Slam Track Racing Committee will make those decisions. We'll make those decisions each year and on an ongoing basis based on the fastest athletes, the champions, and the most popular athletes. And we won't be shy about that, John. I mean, the fans want to see the most popular athletes out there, and then they want to see those rivalries. We'll lean into rivalries. We'll lean into, sort of the, fans taking a side. That's exciting about sport. Rivalries don't have to be disrespectful, but they're fun.
So this isn't my first rodeo. I've been around. Nobody, even if you have a great inventive idea, nobody's doing this for free. What's at stake here for your racers and for each discipline, each slam?
Yeah, so our prize money pool is the biggest prize money pool ever in the history of professional track and field. So $100,000 for first place, $50,000 for second, $30,000 for third, $25,000 for fourth, and so on. Our last place, eighth place, is $10,000. So that's a big prize pool for track and field. But in addition to that, from a compensation standpoint, our Grand Slam track racers are signed to a contract. They're paid base compensation every year based on their value. So at this point now, in the past, track athletes have not been paid to race. They've been paid primarily to endorse a company. Now they can still do that, but also be paid to race. So to your point, they should be paid and compensated, commensurate with their performance and what they bring, and we'll be doing that.
So I did the math. If you add up those 8 spots, it's 262,500. I don't know why we didn't round them all up, but that's fine. I can fight with somebody about that later. But 262.5 per event times 6 men, 6 women. So that's like $3 million in prize money.
It's a little over $3 million in prize money for each one of our slams. But importantly, only spread across 96 athletes. So, at the end of the day, these athletes, they deserve to be compensated for their talent and for what they bring, and we're doing that. So again, important to note as well that, we'll be paying our racers base compensation. And we're very proud of the fact that in our first year, some of our female athletes will be some of the highest paid female athletes in all of sport.
Mm-hmm. So bits and pieces of this have trickled out, and we've heard some. This is obviously the launch of Grand Slam track. What kind of feelers have we gotten? What kind of, agents, athletes that have does anybody have Michael Johnson's phone number?
Everybody, the excitement is palpable around this. People have been, because it's sort of finally, there's been a lot of talk about track. All of us in the sport love the sport. People outside, the casual fan knows this sport. They get excited about it every 4 years. So yeah, those things that we've sort of dropped out there over the last several months, that I'm doing this and we're bringing this league to fruition, has garnered a lot of excitement from athletes saying, finally, we're going to be paid and recognized for our talent, as we should be, and commensurate with our talent and on par with the athletes from other sports. Fans of the sports are saying, finally, we're going to get to see the best of the best compete against one another on a grand scale more than once every 4 years.
So I keep trying to use your term. We need racers, right? We got to have world-class athletes. What's my roster look like here on June 18th?
Yeah, so John, we're so excited to announce our first racer for Grand Slam track, Olympic champion, world record holder, Sidney McLaughlin-Levrone has joined our team.
Let's bring out Sid. So Sid, we could make this quick and painless, or since you told me you got to go to a workout, we could be here a long time. Which would you prefer?
That's a tough choice right there. No, it's all good.
Okay. The trials are coming up. How are we preparing? Where are we in our preps?
We're feeling good. Yeah, just kind of fine-tuning things. I feel like trials is always a great time to kind of figure out what the rounds look like and the fitness is at. And we have some time still before Paris, but always the hardest team to make. So obviously got to go out there and put a performance on first.
Like, can you believe, this is your 3rd Olympic trials?
That's crazy to say.
Your 3rd.
I know.
Is there anxiety? Because you talked about it's the toughest team to make, and we don't spoil. Like, something goes wrong, they're like, here, you can watch on TV with Anderson.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, it's a very hard team to make. We have so much depth trying to make the team in every event, it feels like. And so always respect your competitors, but know that I can go out there and just continue to do what I've been doing. So no anxiety, just continuing to perform the best of my ability.
You've made a lot of history in this sport already with, world record times and the gold medals and all that stuff. What's it like to make history as the first signee of the Grand Slam track league?
It's an honor, honestly. Very excited to be a part of this endeavor. Michael's done a great job putting this together, and just knowing that the future of track and field can grow exponentially and that athletes will have the opportunity to just grow this sport, and it's in a place that's ready to do that. I'm excited to be a part of that in whatever capacity I can be. So
what is it about the league or the project or this man that you went, okay, this is a place for me?
I mean, it's very professionally put together, and I really feel like it's going to elevate the platforms of the athletes that compete more than once every 4 years at the Olympics and give us opportunities to compete on a regular basis against the best of the best and to show, where we are in our training, and just give opportunities for athletes to also be compensated for the hard work that we put in so often that people just don't see. And so I'm excited to just be a part of an official professional track league.
How hard was the sales job? Because if I'd heard Michael's bass voice on the phone, I'd be like, I surrender on the spot. What do you need?
No, I mean, it was a great conversation, and I feel like it was a very easy-flowing understanding of athlete to athlete and realizing that the sport needs to take that next step. And so it really wasn't that hard of a sales pitch. It was more just logistical things, honestly.
What's it like in those meets that are kind of uncommon, that hopefully now are more commonplace, to line up against people that are rivals and of your ability and face off against them?
Yeah, I think, because track is so kind of sporadic in how it's set up, people expect crazy times and crazy performances every time they see us because they don't see us that often. And I think this will kind of normalize seeing people through training cycles and in different parts of their training, but still seeing the best of the best compete to the point where they're just enjoying the fact that we get to race one another and seeing a good race as opposed to always expecting something amazing and spectacular, which can happen. But, just letting that anticipation build throughout the season.
Right now you have the world lead in the open 400 in the flat. How big a head start would you have to give Michael, you think, right now if you went at it?
Right now?
Yeah.
Can he wear those shoes?
Yeah, that could make a difference too.
That might help me a little bit.
Are you sub 50 shape? Where are you at your age right now?
I get that question a lot, John, and I think the perspective for someone who hasn't been in the sport is different. They always say, how fast could you run now? But for an athlete, we would feel like, well, how slow would I be now? And I don't really have any interest in knowing that.
Right, I understand.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in knowing how much slower I am now than I was when I was at my best. So I have no idea, and we will never know.
Very good. That's, yeah, whatever you write down is what I believe is what's going to happen.
43, 42.
Sure. Absolutely. You talked about the rivalries here, right? And literally every great champion, it seems to me, has had a rival, whether it's Ali Frazier, whether it's Chrissy Martina, whether it is, Affirmed and Aladar, right? Horses, the Celtics and the Lakers. The importance, who was a rival of yours that you would like to have been, that just was okay, I can't wait to go and get after that guy?
I had that rival. I had the best, the absolute best in Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis was the best ever. And as a long jumper, as a sprinter, a short sprinter, 100 meters, 200 meters, gold medals, world championships, world records, and just a huge personality that, you knew to go up against this guy. He's got confidence. He's, supremely confident, and he's not going to give you anything.
So Grand Slam track does not have a Masters division yet. It's not here, but because you've talked about the importance of rivalries, and we do have the 9-time Olympic gold medalist, the man behind the curtain, let's bring out Carl Lewis, everybody.
All right, yeah. Be careful with that master stuff now. Hey, how's everybody?
So I'm just looking. So 9 gold medals, right? You're at 2, 3? 2, 4, 4. So together, the 4 of us have 13 gold medals.
Which is more than 90% of the countries.
15 gold medals. Yeah, that is more than some of us.
We could be a country.
I know.
You guys could be. So, Carl, from your side of things, what made this guy a rival?
Well, it's really interesting because I think the biggest thing was the multiple events. And I just don't think people understand how hard it is to do the 400 and the 200 double. And then in a day when we ran 4 rounds, and you guys ran one every day in a row, right? Yep. And so, and the 200 was 4 races over 3 days. So I think that's the big thing. You had to be ready because when you just run an invitational meet against Michael, that's an easy day. For him, it's oh, this is easy. And so I was off in the long jump and the sprints, and he was off breaking the world records in the 400, and then we kind of met in the middle. So it was an absolute tremendous rivalry. I've been in some great races with him. I've been in some record races with him that he said. So a lot of respect, and I think just adding on top of that, he understands the dynamic of why this is important, and it's in a timely time for the sport.
So if there had been a Grand Slam track league in your heyday, and you'd had this chance, what would that opportunity have meant to you? Because like at Carl Lewis, you commanded kind of what you wanted, where you wanted.
Right.
So why would this have been significant to you?
Well, I think the thing, and one of the things that, Michael and I talked about that was different, there were more rivalries in those days. I mean, we had things like, instead of the Diamond League, they had like the Golden Four, and that was kind of the closest, but this takes it to a completely another level. And the big thing is that I think athletes need to understand that if you want to be a professional, you have to act like a professional, and you have to act like a business. And just like the college kids that I talk to, I tell them every day you get up and there are hundreds of things you don't want to do every day. And the sooner you learn to do them, then the better off you'll be. So I think this league gives a point where people can understand, okay, I need to do this. I see the vision, just like the Grand Slams and other sports. We know that you can plan for it because now everyone's making their own schedule. And the best thing about this to me is that it allows you to know this is a schedule, this Grand Slam's gonna be here every single year, the dates are not gonna change, and we know what the benefits are financially. So this would have been great, and I think it gives the athletes more of a control because it's outside of just federation, because right now the World Athletics owns everything. They own the Diamond League, they own the Continental League, so this is something that's separate from it. I think it can grow, and I think in the long run, they're gonna have to change to fit into what's happening with this league.
So Mike, he mentioned that, Diamond League, all these things. Where does this fit? Because it doesn't seem to me like you're trying to replace anything, we're augmenting, but where do you see yourself fitting alongside what's out there right now?
Yeah, so this doesn't exist. There has not been a specific league for the best of the best athletes, the Sidney McLaughlins of track and field. They have been part of, look, 15,000 athletes competed last year in the Continental Tour. 15,000. There were 2,500 athletes last year in the World Championships. All of those athletes need a place to compete, but they're obviously not all at the same level. So the athletes who are the best of the best, the world champions, the Olympic champions, the fastest in the world, the true fastest athletes deserve their own league. That doesn't exist, and that is what this is. So yes, this can sit alongside everything else that exists in the sport. There is a need for those races in the sport, but these athletes, there's also a need for the best of the best to have their own league.
So I don't want to make this old guys get off my lawn, but I looked it up, right? So back in the day, Ronaldo Nehemiah and Greg Foster raced 62 times. I can't think of anybody currently that's 62 times. Has the sport changed? Has it been, whether it's the meets available, agents, whatever, Carl, are people less, do they just not want to face those people anymore? Or is it, why don't we get guys in lanes next to each other more often?
Well, I think where it starts is that the way I look at the sport now as a whole, we were actually amateurs trying to create a professional sport. In a lot of cases, they're professionals running in an amateur sport. And that's why the league is so important, because there is no connection with them. And I need to go to these meets. I need to have these races so that it makes the sport better, so that it grows, so I can benefit from that. So there's the disconnect in the business side of it. So therefore, you're doing everything that you want to do, which does not benefit the sport, and so that we can grow everything. And I think that what the league does, it says, okay, you guys didn't figure it out, so we're going to do it for you. Come in here, and this is the way future. This is the way forward. So I think the big thing is that athletes need to understand that they're going to have to give something to get more. And giving that something is losing some races and having challenging. But what happened with this league, you'll be able to have specific events that the public can know everyone's going to be there. And so it's must-see TV, as opposed to now, this meet's coming on, and okay, so-and-so's there, but this one's not. And I think that's the biggest point, because if you go to any Grand Slam in tennis or golf, you know the best are going to be there. So you actually plan to watch the U.S. Open because you know they'll be there. Right now, you don't know that.
So, Michael, you see this, right? You're filling a need here when that comes through. Do you think the need was there because of athletes avoiding each other, or because of the setup of the sport didn't allow them to be together?
It's the setup of the sport. I think that the athletes enjoy competing against one another, but they deserve to be compensated for that. There is risk. There's when I was going to run against Carl, there was risk there, but it was made worth our while to do it. And, you know, that went away, and now it's not worth it. So, you know, the structure of the sport in the past has not compensated those athletes to take that risk, to go and compete against the best in the sport. So what we're doing is compensating them for that. You know, we're not asking those athletes as well. The burden should not be on the athletes. The athletes are doing what they should do. They're training and they're preparing themselves to go out there and be at their best. Someone else needs to provide that platform to them to then go out there and display that best. But you have to make it worth their while, and that's why our league is providing base compensation to those athletes and unprecedented levels of prize money.
Okay, last thing, gold medal 100s and 200s, gold medals 400 hurdles, gold medal. As a high school high jump record holder, thank you, where are my field events, Michael Johnson?
Yeah, so one of the things, we don't have field events at Grand Slam track, and the reason for that is one of the other things that's been a long-standing problem with this sport, and I've been on the television side of this with BBC for 24 years, and I see how we struggle to bring that casual viewer in, and even the avid viewer, and storytell around the competition, because we have so many things happening at once. And so we are committed to one event at a time. You will not see multiple things happening when you're watching a Grand Slam track event on television or attending in person. With one event at a time in a 3-hour window, there is no place for us to fit field events. We are committed to these athletes when they go out there and perform. One of the other things as well with this is the athletes deserve, and what they want is to be recognized for their talent. And that's hard to do when you're sort of, you know, hidden behind, you know, all of these other things that are happening and no one can really break through. So we're committed to allowing these athletes to be the center of focus, the center of attention when their event comes on and they are the only thing happening on the track.
Yeah, let me add, because I was a field event person. The reality right now, you follow where the money is. And the money, when I talk about, are the events, because right now the field events, they're difficult to host. They take up time. You have the people clap for the pole vault. At the same time, they're stepping into blocks for the hurdles. And it just complicates things. And you never know how the future or how that can be done. But the bottom line is that these events are clean. It's easy to understand. You run from there, you finish there. First place, second place. The field events are more complicated. And that's why even a field event person who doesn't know how to keep the mic up understands that it's not the way to start marketing a program. And I think that I definitely agree with that. And I think it's better just to keep it as simple as possible where people can focus on that specific thing.
I'm just making a note to myself for Wednesday, start Grand Slam field. When it comes to, no, you did tell me that. You've told me that once before, where you said like you love long jump more than anything, but to make money you need to be the fastest man in the world in the 100. Yeah. I'm going to wrap with this. A couple of years ago, it was pre-pandemic, and in New York, at the New York Athletic Club, they had this big meeting. It was like, how can we make track and field more popular? How do we not only grow the sport, how do we retain fans or get fans back that we used to have? And there was this hour-long discussion. And then Craig Silver, the great track and field producer, whether it was CBS, ABC, finally goes, let me just cut through the chase here, everybody. The way to do that is get the best people and just put them in a lane next to each other every time. We can talk about how long the window is. We can talk about, like, just give me the two people that I need next to each other. And that's what you've done here.
Absolutely. I mean, when we first started this, I set out with my team and we started on this journey, and we all agreed that we don't need gimmicks. This sport is amazing as it is. People racing. Who's the fastest? Everybody loves that. You've watched it, you've done it, you know, multiple times. We've all raced, and it's compelling. And people choose sides, and it's fantastic. We don't need gimmicks. The sport is beautiful and it's amazing. It is the most important sport inside every other sport. It's the oldest sport, as we talked about. It's all about the presentation and just bringing the best athletes together, and that's what we're doing. And that's what we're so excited about.
Yep, and everybody's done it. Everyone's go, I don't know if I like track. I'm like, do you ever race your best friend to the tree? You've been in track and field when it comes through. We thank everybody for your time here. We thank everybody for coming. We're going to give Sid and Carl and Michael about 5 minutes, and then they'll be available for some limited media if you want to get one-on-ones and chat with them about this thing. Again, everybody, more details are coming, so monitor. You've got all kinds of social channels. You can find Grand Slam Track, Twitter, all these things. We monitor those.
Yep, absolutely. GrandSlamTrack.com, our website, Twitter, X, Instagram. We're everywhere.
More details to come. Again, thanks everybody for coming. Thanks everybody who watched, whether it was on CITIUS here in the States, globally, because as you said, there's 4 events, LA, and then 3 spots to be determined.
One other U.S. city. We have those cities already determined, and we are announcing those in conjunction with those cities later this summer, but one other U.S. city and 2 international cities.
Our thanks to Carl Lewis, to Sidney McLaughlin, to Michael Johnson, and to all of you for coming. Grand Slam Track is here. Thank you.